Cool. We'll give it a couple more minutes here before we dive in, but I'll give you guys a little tease of the agenda. So we're going to talk through Klaviyo today and Because campaigns. We will kind of show you behind the scenes in Klaviyo, and I'm going to use my personal Klaviyo account that I have as well as my personal Shopify store, so I can kind of just dip in and out of both worlds here. And if something breaks on what I'm doing, it's going to be breaking on my personal account, so don't worry. It's going to be a great time, though. We're going to show you how to create a Klaviyo pop-up, link to Klaviyo pop-up within a side of a Because campaign, and then basically how do we like capture customers that are bypassing the existing pop-up that's happening on your site. We're seeing really, really good conversion off of this campaign that we're running. And so we have one use case where we've seen like a 67% opt-in on the Because element. And then we're seeing that those customers that are opting in are also converting at a higher rate. So some really cool, exciting things that we'll cover today. And then we'll also show the other end of it where it's like, okay, how do we display a promo code inside of a Because element once they have opted in to receive those marketing emails. So excited. This is being recorded, so if I go a little bit fast today, we're going to be able to reference the recording. We'll post it up on our new little help center. And then for those of you who are maybe multitasking, because I get it, we all have work to do. Don't worry, it's being recorded. We'll send it out. So yeah, feel free to also, if you guys have any questions, ask it in the chat along the way. We've got some Because team members here, so they'll kind of be in the chat as well. So if you guys are asking questions, I'm gonna do my best to keep an eye on the chat as I'm going along. So yeah, cool. So welcome to the first ever Because office hours hosted by Mark. So I already mentioned this just a second ago, but here's the formal kind of agenda that we're going to be running through. So we're going to build out some Klaviyo Because campaigns today. So if you guys want to open up Klaviyo and open up your Because account and kind of follow along, it's going to be pretty fun. So we'll create the Klaviyo campaign, and Because we're going to then navigate over to Klaviyo and do the pop-up form with a specific URL rule. We're then going to jump in and create a Klaviyo segment that's only for Because campaigns. And then we're going to do a link. We're going to link to that pop-up happening, and then we're going to tie it to that segment. Then we're going to create a segment for those who've signed up, and then we're going to create a campaign for those that have signed up for the welcome code. So without further ado, let's go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing this screen, move over to my other window here. Okay, can you guys see my Klaviyo account now? Awesome. My computer's doing a little funky thing right now, so if I lose you guys for a minute, I apologize, but let me go ahead and just move Zoom out of the way. Cool. So here's my Klaviyo account. What we're going to do is this is my little Shopify store here. What we're trying to solve for is the pop-up that happens when somebody first comes up on site. All of our stores, all of us run some kind of pop-up, right? It's either triggered by Klaviyo or Attentive. Some of what we're going to show you guys today is kind of universal over into Attentive as well, or any other ESP that's triggering a pop-up. As you can see, I'm currently on my site right now, and I'm not logged in, and there's no pop-up because I've already exited out of the pop-up, and my Klaviyo cookie isn't active, so it's not because I'm an active user, but I can't trigger the pop-up, so I'm like trying to refresh the page, and it can't happen. The pop-up's not there. And this is what's happening for a lot of customers as they're browsing, right? We all come onto a site, like I'll go to one of our other customer sites real quick and trigger the pop-up here. So if I go to, I'm going to go to the Adventure Challenge, our friends over there. They've got a pop-up on site. So it's like, this is what we're trying to solve for. Pop-up happens right away. Customers like, hey, I just came in from an ad. I don't want a pop-up. They close the pop-up and then they're browsing and then they're like, wait, hold on. Now I want that deal. And if they close out of this little thing here or they don't see this, that's where they are like, what happened to the promo offer? I want the promo offer. And if they click out of this X here, there's now no way for them to re-trigger that pop-up happening at all during this session. So what we're solving for is like, let's create a because campaign that's going to basically just prompt them to opt in to receive that welcome code. And it's going to follow them along their journey. And it's going to be a little less intrusive, but it also furthers them further into their shopping journey to where when they're on a product page and they're like, oh, this is actually the product I want. Now I want to be able to like get that welcome discount. Where's that welcome discount? I can't find it. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go into my little because account here and I'm going to create a campaign. What I want to do is I want to create it as a top bar. Now this is kind of personal preference where you guys want it. I'm going to create it as a top bar. I'm going to do all pages. Going to go in here and let's just kind of real quick say, click here to save percent today. I might go a little rapid fire here on some of these edits. I'm just gonna change my background color a little bit on this campaign. And then I want this underneath my navigation bar. I'm gonna preview this campaign on my site here. Let's just grab it on a collection page. Okay, so here's where that campaign is gonna show. So I've got this loading right there, but now we need to basically click to it and trigger that pop-up. So now you can see since I've been in my site a bit and refreshing, I now have this little pop-up here that's saying get 15% off. But what we want to do is we want to be able to have this top bar where it's clickable and links to this Klaviyo pop-up basically that's happening. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to navigate into Klaviyo. So I'm going to just save this campaign. I'm going to go inside the Klaviyo. This is might be new territory for some of you, but it's okay. I'm here to help you guys with this. So inside of Klaviyo, I'm going to go to sign up forms. And then inside of sign up forms, you can see I have quite a few sign up forms in here. Here's my pop-up one that's right here. This is my main one that's happening on site. I want to create a pop-up that basically is going to replicate that experience, but we're going to isolate it to a specific URL rule. So that way we can only have it show when we want it to show. So what you can actually do is you can actually clone your existing sign up unit. So some of you may have a full page experience within Klaviyo. Some of you may have the pop-up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this pop-up here. And I'm just going to name this because email sign up. Since this is only being used for because, I'm going to just name this because email sign up. That way I know what it's being used for. So when I start seeing forms submitted, I know where they're going. So I'm going to click into this now, and I'm going to make some edits to this Klaviyo pop-up. All the styling and everything like that is going to stay the same for me. But underneath targeting and behavior is where we're going to do all of this unique because only related instances. So I want this form to display immediately. I use the lead capture with Shop, so I'm going to leave that turned on. I want to adjust the frequency here to 0 days. This is totally fine. Don't show again if the form was submitted. It's going to be on both desktop and mobile. And then I'm going to move over into targeting. So you can see here, I can exclude and do a bunch of different things here on targeting, but I want to just have this as broad as possible, but I am going to only have it show on a specific URL. So you can see I already have some URL rules already here, but I'm going to create a brand new URL rule, and I'm going to do hashtag email sign up, and you guys can use the exact same one here. So we're going to do hashtag email sign up, and what this is doing is it's going to trigger this pop-up anytime somebody goes to the URL of hashtag email sign up on your site. So as long as they're clicking that button that says hashtag email sign up, they're going to get this pop-up triggered right away, and it's going to work for them. So I'm going to now go ahead and I'm going to publish this here up at the top right. So now this experience is live. I'm going to go back into my Because campaign here, and I'm going to edit the text on this element. So I'm going to highlight all the text here. I'm going to put this here of hashtag email sign up. We're going to have it be in the same tab because since it's a pop-up, we want them to have that experience happen on the same tab. So if they're on a collection page, if they're on a product page, we want that pop-up happening right away. I'm going to hit save here. I'm going to click no on this here because we don't need any of this prefix stuff. I'm going to save the campaign. Now here's my little Because preview for that campaign I just did. I'm going to refresh the page. So there's that link right there. And if you see down at the very bottom of the screen, you can see that it's adding that hashtag email sign up on the URL. So I'm just going to click on this right here. And so there it's triggering that. Now I have a couple different pop-up experiences running on my site, so it's triggering my other email sign up one that I have. But this is, as you can see, it's working exactly how we want it to. It's triggering that email sign up. It's a little less intrusive than that pop-up that's happening. As you can see, it's even double layering my pop-ups here. That's just my fault in the Klaviyo, but really awesome to be able to have that because what we're seeing, just as a refresher, what we're seeing is customers are getting further into the funnel and they're either exiting out of this little get 15% off or they, close out of that pop-up. And this is just like a very subtle way to get them to opt in. And it's just really great. So now that we have that linked, I'm going to go back into the Because campaign. Because what we want to do here is we want to adjust the rules on this. So right now this is showing to all people always, and there's no additional parameters to kind of like restrict it down to the users we want to see. So we want this to only show to people who aren't inside of our Klaviyo list. So inside these Klaviyo rules here, we're going to go into Klaviyo segment. And you can see it's pulling up all of my segments that I have made inside of my Klaviyo account. But what I want to do is I want to create a unique segment just for this experience because I want to capture basically like net new users inside of Klaviyo. So many of you probably have a Klaviyo list that already exists, but we need to create a segment for it instead of a list. So if I go in here, you're going to see a ton of different segments that I've created, but let's walk through and create a brand new segment just for this. So I'm going to go in here. I've clicked under audience. There's lists and segments. I'm going to go under here and go create new. I'm going to create new segment. I'm going to name this Because, then all customers. Now this is going to be used pretty much just for Because campaigns. So that's why I'm naming it Because, but I want this to have it where it's pulling in all of my customers. And then I'll just do subscribers as well. So that way it's capturing all my email subscribers and customers. Then underneath my definition here, I'm going to do if someone can or cannot receive marketing. And basically, person can receive email marketing and they're subscribed. You can do additional filters if you want, but this is perfect for this instance right here. If we wanted to do a little bit of additional rules here where I could go what someone has or has not done, I'm going to actually add an additional rule of has placed an order. So that way we can just capture anybody who's ever placed an order as well. So I'm going to do at least once, and I'm going to do over all time. And you can see it's populated in a little number of segments here. So this is doing the and rule, but I want to actually switch this up and do or because I want to get everybody in here. So I'm going to delete that one here. Let's do what someone has or has not done. Placed an order at least once over all time. It's just loading the number there. So you can see there's 1,000 profiles that basically fall underneath this little segment here of somebody who's subscribed or they've made a purchase. So that way I'm like identifying these people. I'm going to create this segment right here, and it's going to do its little magic. And our API with Klaviyo is so quick. So what we're going to see here in just a second after this segment's created is we are going to be able to tap into this segment on the because side instantly, and we're going to exclude those users from seeing this message. So it's adding all those profiles there. And let's go back into here. So I'm going to just kind of start back from the beginning here. What we're going to do here, we've got the page type is all. I'm going to go into Klaviyo segment. Let me see if it's going to load here for a second. Okay. So as you can see, the API is taking just a little bit longer, which is totally fine. So what I can actually do here is I'm going to copy this, because the way that our Klaviyo API works is you can copy the exact name of it and it will work perfectly as long as the title casing and spacing is correct. So I'm going to drop that in there. So, and I'm going to switch this to is not. I'm going to save this real quick. So what we've done now is we are going to show this message to all site visitors, and it's going to exclude anybody who's in that segment that we just created. And that segment is all of my existing customers and all of my existing email subscribers. So they're going to see, as long as like somebody is not in that segment, they're going to see that awesome message of, hey, click here to get 15% off today. I'll pause here because I want to ask, see if there's any questions. Is this, you guys tracking with this well so far? Anything coming up? I see some head nods. Got a thumbs up for Joe. That means I'm doing good if I got a thumbs up
Making
for Joe.
perfect sense.
Perfect. I know some of like Ashlyn, you probably have seen some of Klaviyo, but this is pretty cool for I think for a lot of us. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool to
Awesome.
connect
So
the dots between both. Like getting, I think the fact that you're training on the Klaviyo side is helpful because like it is all connected.
yeah, it is all connected, which is awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and rename this campaign over here, top bar. We're gonna do email sign up. So basically, we're all set on this campaign. So this is going to capture all those customers that come into the list, so that way they can click there, get their 15% offer, and join the welcome segment. It's going to be perfect. Now, what we want to do as the next step is we want to do a promo message for those people who opt in to the welcome offer. So what I'm going to do here is I've got this top bar that I just created. I'm going to clone this because I want to create a basically the next step of the journey for those customers. So I'm going to clone this campaign. I'm going to copy all this here because this is just how I like to create campaigns. Copy it here, and I'm going to do email welcome discounts. And then I'm going to copy the rules. I like to copy rules when I am cloning a campaign because it's way easier to edit rules than it is to like start from zero. At least that's how I like to look at it. So I'm going to edit this campaign here. I'm going to go into the text, and what I want to do is I want to welcome people back in that have opted into my email flow. They're getting that 15% code, and I'm going to display my code that I have. So I'm going to do a little welcome message here. Oh, to use code 15 at checkout. Okay. I'm making sure there's no link there. I'm just going to strip out any formatting. Okay. I'm actually just going to bold this real quick. So this is welcoming back those users that are inside of my Klaviyo flow now. And what I want to do is I want to create a like very narrow Klaviyo segment for users that we can tie into this because campaign, because I want to be able to only show this to really new customers and anybody that hasn't used this discount code. Because we've got people that are joining your guys' welcome series, but they might be 180 days old in terms of like people who are inside of your account that haven't used the code. But we want to isolate this message to just some new customers. So I'm actually going to go back into Klaviyo right now. I'm going to save this campaign, go back into Klaviyo. I'm going to create a new segment here. It's going to be very similar to the segment I just created. But I'm going to create a new segment here. Let's do this because welcome to I'm going to do what someone has or has not done. I'm going to go in here and go place order. I'm going to do at least once over all time. I'm going to add this little additional filter here. And then there's this whole area here for discount codes. And so what I want to do is I want to isolate the people who have used the discount code. And then actually, I apologize. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do the inverse here to make this really clean. So I'm going to do has not used welcome discount. And then I'm going to do 0 times over all time where they've placed the code. So that way we've got a higher number to work with here. And then I want to do an and rule here. We're going to do if someone can or cannot receive marketing. So they can receive marketing, person subscribed. I'm going to do an additional filter here. And I'm going to do in the last, let's do the last 60 days. So we were at about 1,000 before, now we're at 59. So what this is doing is this is going after anybody who hasn't used the code, which before we were at like over 1,000, 1,500 people who hadn't used the code, which that's a pretty big number. But now I'm isolating it to like, let's look at just really, really fresh contacts. So they've opted in the last 60 days and they haven't used this code. So this is a really clean, simple way. That way I'm not giving the code away to people who, have been in my account for over a year and just haven't used the welcome code because they use a different code. This is isolating it to just that. So I'm going to create that segment here. It's just going to populate here. And you can, as you guys can imagine, you can use this kind of like logic that we're building out here for any kind of other promo code, not just your welcome discount code. So if you've got an abandoned cart code, or maybe you're running like a month-long sale and you want to just have a because element showing for people that haven't used a code yet, you can do the same kind of logic here around creating that and excluding those codes. We can also do stuff very similar with Klaviyo around people who have or have not purchased products, which is really great. So there's so much that we can tap into inside of those Shopify rules inside of Klaviyo. So now that we're going to go into the Klaviyo segment here, and we're going to go into Klaviyo segment, I'm going to update this to my new one that I just created. We'll see if there it is right there. And so I'm going to make sure that I switch this to is because I'm doing negative rules inside Klaviyo. And so this is now going to show that is has not used welcome discount code. And then overview, everything is set here. And so what I can do now is I can go ahead and publish these and get these live on my site. I'm going to group these here, and I'm actually going to create a new group. Let's create a new group and just do Klaviyo welcome sign up plus offer. Got those in a group now so I can look at that data later. And I'm going to publish both of these. There they go. So now both of these are running. If we hover over the rules, this is going to capture all of these net new customers that are coming on the site that haven't opted in for email yet. Once they opt in for email and they're put into my flow, they're now going to automatically start seeing this message here. And it's going to just take them through that journey. So I'll pause there. Thoughts, questions, what's coming up for you guys? We can also don't be shy. Feel free to unmute. I want to hear from you guys. I'll stop sharing my screen here. Oh, I hear you. I see you talking, Joe, but I don't hear you talking.
I feel his pain, if I do say so myself.
I don't know, Joe. Your audio is not connected.
Oh,
Sign languages.
Oh, now you will use chat.
Love this. Yeah.
I see, Rachel, you're saying that you've been trying to figure out ways to segment for discount code. Yep. Really awesome. You can dive into so much of that Klaviyo data. It's really cool. Yeah, codes getting abused is for sure a tricky thing. I think there's so many kind of like best practices you can do out there. Some of our users will isolate a code. They'll create like a because only code and have that run for a couple of weeks. And so that's a great option there. Um, there's no like, it's tricky. There's no perfect way to like isolate stuff. People are just have been trained by the Kohl's of the world to look for deals and discounts and promos and offers. And so we're definitely working on all the ways that we can solve for that. We also are working on the ability for us to tap into dynamic codes, which I know I've teased with a few of you guys on calls to where we can upload a CSV of basically a ton of codes. I'll actually drop it here in the chat real quick. Let me see. Reader. So there is
I like
this.
having the ability to personally see this, Mark. Like
Yeah.
now I can see how we bring it together.
Oh yeah.
Like it doesn't stick. I love it.
Yeah, it is so helpful. I'm going to drop in this recommended app on discount codes for those of you who are trying to create codes at scale. There's this awesome app that we recommend, uh, pretty inexpensive. Basically, you can create buckets of coupon codes, and then you could have thousands of codes generated and have them unique to specific use cases, and it generates one-time codes. And so this is the app that we're going to be working with. So if you're creating a campaign and you're concerned about codes being leaked out, we're going to work with this app where you can upload a CSV of thousands of codes, and then everybody's just assigned a unique code. That way, it's not as broad because the Honey and Capital One shopping and stuff like that, they absorb and they're scanning codes. And just to give you guys a little bit of a technical how this works is anytime somebody installs Honey on their browser, Honey automatically scans when somebody checks out and then sees if they checked out with a coupon code, and then they upload that automatically to their database. And so it's happening behind the scenes and nobody knows it. And so that's how the codes are getting leaked, which is
Mm.
it's unfortunate. But at the same time, we all want conversion, so it's tricky because it's like we all want sales. So any sale's a good sale, right? Yeah. Any other questions coming up for you guys? We've got a little bit of time here. Happy to ask any other questions, answer any other questions.
Mark, I was gonna say it might be cool to talk a little bit about like how to run a promo with like different discount tiers to different audiences.
Yeah.
Especially around like Black Friday or really just any promo you're running. That concept of like you don't always have to give the maximum discount to every type of site visitor. So any thoughts around like how you would approach that?
Yeah. I mean, spa orders for sure. A great shining example of this. They ran some really big promos over the holidays and broke it out by tiers inside of Klaviyo. And so very similar to what you guys saw that I just did inside of Klaviyo, where I created some segments and made it very unique to because only instances inside of my because account. One thing that's really awesome is like you guys could take a VIP tier of customers. Maybe it's customers that are like your loyal customers who've made more than two or three purchases from your site. Maybe you guys have a higher threshold. Maybe for Swig Life, you guys have a lot of customers coming back and purchasing more than multiple items. So like maybe it's 5 or more or 10 or more, and then offering them a code. So like using the same placement for all these because campaigns, like maybe all of these are a top bar campaign like I created today, but isolating your very top engaged customers and giving them a higher discount and then giving your first time customers a lower discount. Because I think the thought is that we need to give discounts to the same amount of like the same audiences. So like let's give 20% off to everybody always. But what we've seen to be true is that first-time customers don't need as strong of as incentive as returning customers. And so there's money that is basically like we're giving away for free when we don't need to, because sometimes it's like, well, they only needed 15%.
Yeah, I could see it being the opposite as well for some brands. Like I know there are
Yeah.
certain brands where I just go back to the site over and over again to buy something. And it's always the brands that I'm like, can you please set up subscription? Because I don't want to have to keep coming
Yep.
back. Like Glossier, I was like, when is subscription coming? Like I don't want to have to keep coming to get the same mascara like every 2 months. But yeah, I feel like it could be the opposite for some brands too, where the loyal customers don't really need a discount.
Yep. Yep. And that's where like loyalty. I was just talking to Chumps yesterday about this for our new podcast, which I'm excited for you to get into your guys' hands. But for those of you who may not know who Chumps is, they're a very fast and growing CPG brand. So they've got their beef jerky sticks, and they are trying to incentivize return purchasers on their Shopify site because they're such a easy item to purchase at local retail, like local grocery stores and retail stores.
Mhm.
And so that's where they're like really trying to double down on their loyalty, because it's like, well, yeah, you can buy Chomps at the store, or you can buy it from us, and the pricing's pretty comparable. But if you buy from their website, you're getting loyalty and rewards set up throughout the
Mhm.
journey, which is really great. And so it's incentivizing them to buy and just like turn on subscribe and save and get points, and then those points turn into, additional savings and everything like that.
Mhm. And then you can use that data in a similar way to what we went through today. So if you're using Skio or Stay or Recharge, any of that data that's getting plugged into Klaviyo, you now can set up a segment of everyone who is a subscriber, and then obviously the negative version of that as well. So when someone comes to site, you can prompt them to log into their into the portal to like go in to manage their subscription, or you can prompt them to sign up for a subscription. Let's say they've purchased twice but still haven't opted into a subscription. Maybe you're using more messaging throughout the site to like incentivize the benefits of signing up for a subscription. So all of the cool data points that get connected into Klaviyo.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like there's so much. I could nerd out all day with you guys with Klaviyo. I mean, this is why I have a little Klaviyo Stanley. There's so much you can do, right? Like there's so many cool use cases and diving into, and I get it. I get it takes time. Like I'll take my Because hat off for a minute and put my like marketing ecom hat on for a minute with you guys. Like I was in your seat for so long trying to solve all the problems of trying to convert customers and trying to increase conversion rate and trying to figure out like how do we move sales and how do we do things. And the more you can spend time with creating segments in Klaviyo that power Because, the better it's going to be. There's
Mhm.
so many opportunities of tapping into looking at the Klaviyo segments of people who have purchased what they've purchased and then be able to like do unique messaging on site. Um, Especially if you guys have products that make a lot of sense that tie together, right? So at the Adventure Challenge, we had a limited catalog, but it's like we had very natural products that was like, okay, here's the entry product that somebody purchases, and here's the next product that they should purchase. And so we can do very unique messaging on Klaviyo segments of going, okay, let's just see like who has purchased product A, and then let's do messaging on site for people who've purchased product A to say like, hey, make sure you get product B now. And a lot of us will do that naturally through Because campaigns on that existing journey where we are trying to cross sell. But you can do this for returning customers and try to cross sell based off of what they've purchased. So I know, like Lexi, I see that you're here from Club Red today. There's so much that you could tap into on the accessory level of just returning customers of what they have previously purchased, and even doing like previously purchased badges on collection pages based off of what they've purchased. So definitely some really, really awesome and truly endless opportunities with Klaviyo here.
One thing to add on to that, we just deployed a brand new feature today. So if anyone wants to be a beta user, please raise your hand. It doesn't have to be here, but raise your hand later. We just launched product recommendations, which is more of a formal way to upsell and cross-sell and bundle and gift with purchase and all of the above. It's the same concept as all of our other content types where you can add it on your product page, collection page, in your cart, in your slide out cart, all of the above. And you can actually formally select the product through a product selector of which product you're actually upselling or cross-selling. It'll show the image of the product, the title of the product, the price of the product, and an add to cart button. Every single aspect is customizable, just like all of the things you guys are familiar with. So you can edit the button color, the text, you can edit adding like a header above it that says, add this item to unlock free shipping or whatever it might be. And all of this can be powered by the same data you guys are familiar with. So you can now use all of that Klaviyo data to power product recommendations. So it's an old feature that a lot of people are familiar with in the industry, but it is now being done because style.
Awesome. I'm really excited to get that out there.
Yeah.
I know I
This
teased
just
it.
got launched this morning, so it's
Yeah.
in beta.
I'm
Who made
excited.
that a tagline? Because style.
Because style, baby.
So,
I
so
love
you know
that.
we're hip.
Love that. Cool. Well, I appreciate all of you guys joining today. I will give you guys a couple minutes back into your day. Excited to have these again on a monthly basis. Please, if any of you guys have suggestions of how we best utilize this space, there's so much we can train on. But if you guys are like, oh, it'd be really awesome to navigate this element of Because, or talk through this integration, or talk through subscriptions, or talk through like even specific problems of how we can solve, like how to make the most of returning customers or whatever. Like, we want this space to serve you guys as much as possible. So feel free to send suggestions my way. Those of you who probably have all seen my message, I'm out of office next week, but you've got the amazing Aya and Jalal here to support you all of next week. So utilize our help center, utilize our chat in the app. That's our new chat that connects directly into our help center, and Aya and Jalal are in there all day long. And then for those of you that still have access to us in Slack, you can also reach out to us there. But yeah, thanks so
Mark.
much for being here, guys.
Oh,
Thanks, Joe.
bye
Truly
guys.
speechless on our side. Yeah.
That was good.
Truly.
He's good.
Yeah.
Bye
Awesome. Thanks,
everyone.
guys.